I also think that the spirit of Christmas that lives in you comes through in such a way that you don't know this, but when I'm out in the wild and people compliment the Amber Waves Christmas light display, I get the opportunity to talk about my amazing business partner, and that this comes from this warm, shining light in you that you're like, I want to share this. What a year.
It's been a great year.
It has been a great year. Okay, so let's locate us. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are sitting in our teaching barn at our farm. We farm about 35 acres on the east end of Long Island. We grow fruits, vegetables, grains, herbs.
Cut flowers. Farmers, most important crop.
Yeah. So we today are going to talk about some history, some anecdotes, some highlights of the year, and then looking ahead. So welcome to the conversation. Amanda, let's talk about the bright, shining elephant on the farm. Can you please tell us and the audience about why you put your heart and soul into making the farm look so freaking good in December?
It's giving Clark Griswold for sure out in the front. So for those of you who are lucky enough to be able to drive by this time of year, the lights display is for you, and we're so glad to share it with you. And for those of you who are far away, I'll just describe that we pull our tractors and equipment out into the field that's visible from the street, and we also frame all of our children's gardening shed and the market and the greenhouses that are visible from the street in lights. We put falling snow tube lights, like the icicle falling snow lights, high up in the trees. A local builder, Fifth and Dune, thanks so much, rents us a lift so that we can get high up into the trees. And it truly is so magical to drive by this time of year. So, I mean, yesterday, I think I was on a call yesterday afternoon, 3:50, and I looked out the window. It was basically dark. I mean, the lights are on a timer. They come on at 3 o'clock because it is just so dark. Not only are we far north in New York State, but we're also on the east side of the Eastern time zone. So even in places like Buffalo, it would be light later, but it's just dark so early here. And so it's really fun to, in these darkest weeks and months of the year, be able to do something that's just joyful that people can drive by and appreciate, which is really how the whole farm functions the whole season, which is, we have the gates open to the public, and there are picnic tables, and people can come see the animals and walk through the fields, and that's glorious when the farm is in full bloom. But this time of year, when there are fewer people out in the fields and wanting to just be a little cozier and stay in their cars, they can drive by and feel some joy of looking at the holiday lights and driving by the farm. But also because it's our farm equipment that's lit up, I think actually people might learn something like, I've never seen that piece of equipment before.
What's that cedar all about?
Exactly. What are they doing back there with that?
Well, I think you bring up a really important point about how a community farm functions year-round for its community. And this is our way of doing it in December when the crops in the fields are dormant, but we still welcome people to the market and we still welcome people on site. And it's our way of showing our light and love back to our community who supports us year-round. I also think that the spirit of Christmas that lives in you comes through in such a way that you don't know this, but when I'm out in the wild and people compliment the Amber Waves Christmas light display, I get the opportunity to talk about my amazing business partner, and that this comes from this warm, shining light in you that you're like, I want to share this. And I think the reason that it matters is because it takes a lot of work, just like everything we do here, a lot of labor hours to execute something that's awesome. It just does. It takes time and energy and intention and effort. So Okay, so to wrap on the lice, but to launch us into a different part of the conversation, what is it like to put on this light show?
Well, it's really so, and by light show, it's just a light show that's for free that people can walk by and drive by on every day. I was joking with someone the other day that around dusk, if you like want to have your cup filled, you just kind of loiter around the sidewalk and hear the compliments rolling in, which is great. It takes about 200 hours to put the lights up, so like 200 human hours of work. So, and we do that over 2 or 3 weeks. At the time of this filming, I think that we have maybe 2 people for 4 or 5 hours, and then we'll be totally finished. And I think you're right that I do have such a deep love of kind of the holiday season. We do make the lights, non-denominational. They're for everybody, but I do have a love for the holiday season. But the other raw truth behind it is that this is a sad time of year for many people. My mom
Yes.
died this time of year almost 20 years ago. And I think for people who maybe don't have families or who have lost someone, or it can be a kind of a heavier time of year. And the lights for both me, as the person who's creating them and coming up with the kind of the art design, and someone who's just viewing, it's meant to like literally bring light into people's lives, my own included. So. So I'm thrilled to do it, and I always wish that they could be up for a little bit longer. So I'll basically
longer than Valentine's Day.
It's basically, if I can, if you, with your blessing, if we can keep them up through January, and then we'll like abide by dark skies and take them down, and to obviously and thankfully so much faster to take them down than to put them up. So what a fun project for me to do. Also, the other thing is that. There are so many moving parts and so many things. What's funny, as I'm talking just out of my pocket, there's just bulbs falling out of my pocket. It's funny, whenever I bring my winter coats back out of storage, I reach into the pockets and it's like ends of extension cords and bulbs and things from like zip ties from last year's display. But there are so many things going on the farm that actually this time of year, whoever's left, I get to spend a lot of time with because they're helping me do holiday lights. So it's kind of this special bonus of spending time with our team that members of our team that I maybe wouldn't necessarily otherwise get to.
Okay, and what do you mean by who's left? Because the farming season is kind of coming to an end. I mean,
Yes.
I know we were harvesting carrots yesterday for soup, and there are things happening, but talk a little bit about like who's left and why.
So it's kind of our senior level staff out in the farm fields. The apprentices have the apprenticeship season finished. We had a kind of casual commencement celebration for them on the Overlook wagon a couple of weeks ago. So the apprentices have gone home. A few of them are returning next year in more advanced roles. Some of our other seasonal staff is left. So it's really our core leadership team that's left at the farm. So a couple members of our flower team and a few members of the vegetable production team. So there's kind of like 6 people around who are wrapping up the season of. We're largely done cover cropping, but power washing equipment, cover cropping, mulching. We have all the garlic is planted, the tulips are planted. So it's really kind of those last little tucking in. And then some of those people will stay year round. And we kind of immediately start planning for next season. People are always asking, what do you do all winter? But it's like, well, take a breath.
Pat ourselves on the back for doing another season.
But truly, we're looking at seed catalogs now and doing the seed order and trying to have the bulk of the seed order done in the month of December because the most popular varieties or the hardest to find varieties will sell out. And so we're trying to have seeds, the field plan done, seeds ordered and in stock so they can be sorted by, logically by plant family and put away so that when the spring rolls around, we're just ready to roll. So there's certainly some time off, but it's not as much as people think because really in the height of the season, there's no time for planning at all. You can pivot if you already have a plan, but the whole plan has to be laid out. So we're going through our apprenticeship handbook and tweaking our curriculum for next year. Oh, that's another thing.
And hiring.
And hiring.
Hiring.
That's
Tons of hiring right now. Yeah.
Yes, we've brought in the first few apprentices, which is exciting. So
Are there any spots left right now?
there are still spots.
Okay, there's still spots.
Yes, but we have many offers out, and acceptances are starting to come back in.
Good.
So, and then it's, logistics of housing, who's going to live where. It's like all of the logistics and planning, so that when the busy season starts, we just don't have to do. We just perform, just execute.
Yeah.
So,
So then we're going to hear our conversation next week is with Amelia.
Yes.
So we're going to dive deep into what it takes to operate the farm from this time of year, planning and hiring, all the way through execution. And we can get into the nitty gritty of farm ops. But Amelia is still here with us. And I think, when people are wondering like, well, it's cold outside and the ground is almost frozen and there's not quite anything going and growing, but the farm has really important responsibilities, and Farmer Amelia has really important responsibilities right now to set us up for success for the next 12 months. So we'll dive into that next week.